how much compromise is too much compromise? In a relationship, we know that you have to compromise. You have to compromise what you want for the health of the relationship. And usually, couples that are married or in a long term committed relationship share values. And that's what keeps the relationship committed, healthy, and really that's what you need. Values are more important than anything else. And it's important that you agree on the essential ones. One of those essential values is how you feel about children, how you feel about growing your family, how you feel about each other being a parent, and is that a place you want to go. I especially like this talk to be done prior to a commitment, prior to a marriage. The reason is because it can be contentious, and many times people aren't sure what they feel, and they kind of feel like they were dragged into it, and they get resentful of that, and that causes all kinds of problems in the relationship. So I'm going to give you a walkthrough plan that will help you kind of decide where you are with children, why you want children, so you can discuss it with your partner. It gets to the point that in the end, if you cannot come to a conclusion, it's really important that you go to therapy, that you seek a counselor who can work through it with you, so neither person will feel resentful or like they didn't get what they needed to make their values solid. You should never sacrifice your values for a relationship, but you should at all costs work to keep the relationship strong and healthy, especially if you're going to have kids, because kids need your marriage more than you do, your partner does, or anyone else. And they need your marriage to be healthy. They don't just need a marriage, they need a healthy marriage. So, okay, I'm going to give you this plan. The first thing is you need to have a sit down, brutal, honest talk with yourself. And you need to decide, what's going on, why you want children. What is it, an age? Is it something you're thinking about heavily? Are you focused on the future? Is something happened in your family of origin that makes you really need to talk about what is urging this conversation? And I think it's important that if you have a child, that you do this brutal, honest insight into yourself first too. Then the reason is because if you have one child, you want to ascertain, okay, why is growing this so important? Is it for the other child? You want the child to have a sibling? Is it you don't feel your family is complete? What is the motivator behind it? And secondly, why now? It's important to talk about timing. After you get clear and you've written this down, then you and your partner, you ask him or encourage him or her to write their list too. And that now you're going to go through the steps. And the first of those steps is you have to carve out a time to discuss it. And this should not be something that is so intense or feels heavy. This should be an opportunity to grow closer. You want a time with no distractions. If you have a small child, it's going to be important to do this on a date night, or maybe when the grandparents or our babysitter has the child, because you need to be able to think and you need to be able to listen to what your partner says. It's very important. And next, set some ground rules for your discussion. Like, I always do this in my office, and I suggest couples do this. Like, okay, when one of us gets frustrated, we're going to ask if we can take the conversation up at another time. How long are we going to do this? Let's not extend it more than 30 minutes this first time. I think rules like that help you stay focused, and they help take the emotion out of it, because many times people get very emotional about this. If you feel like a baby is an essential part of you, like you've always felt like you wanted to give birth to a child, then that's an important thing to know. Or have you always wanted a child? Then there's other options. You could always adopt. You could look into, getting involved in organizations with children. So this is very important that you know the ground rules. Identify the problem. And the problem for most couples in this situation is that they cannot come to an agreement about how they feel, either about growing their family or about starting by having a baby. Because, a baby is a lifetime commitment. It's not like a dog. A dog is too, a pet is, but a pet has a short lifespan. Children don't, and you don't want them to. You want them to be here when you're leaving this earth. And so the whole idea is much different. It's a different form of commitment, and it scares a lot of people. Don't let that scare you or your relationship. It's scary. It means you're really being honest and you're thinking about it. You want to go through, though, how would you do it if you, how would you manage it? If you're working, how would that happen? Is there an urgency? Are you 40 and you're getting scared that you might not be able to have a child? Did you get married later in life? Is this person someone you really love and you never met any? What is the urgency? Why now? Is it a very important question, and one I really want you to both talk about. So you can already see this talk is going to be more than one time, and you're already with me on that, so that's very good. Think about the current future, possible future for the child you have now, as well as with a sibling. And if you've never had one, think about the future for that child. What some people will say, well, I just think raising a child now would be the wrong thing. I mean, this world is so screwed up, but there's never really a right specific time for a child. And I think when partners are able to understand that and cope with that, they're able to make a better decision because it frees them up a little bit. Practice safe sex until you're sure that your partner is in agreement. A lot of couples, when they feel frustrated or they feel like they can't get any further with their partner, I think it's very important that they consider practicing safe sex. And the other thing I don't want you to overlook or glide over is, are you in shape? Are you in condition? Is there some genetic predisposition that limits you or scares you about doing this, having a child? Many families carry a genetic disorder and it scares them and they don't want to do it. I want to offer you different possibilities. There's options with in vitro. There's different ways you can bear a child that won't harm you so much. If you have any kind of a problem, you want to get a high risk OBGYN right away, right from the get-go. You already have a record. You know what you're dealing with, because to be, just say, oh, God will take care of it or whatever, that's not being logical, and it's not helping you or your partner. That's a heavy load to put on your partner. If they saw you really risk your life the first time and you want them to go along with it again this time, then you better have different plans in place so they won't have to be as scared as they were, nor will you jeopardize your health or the baby's. Because remember, when you have a child, you want to make it as safe as possible. And I don't want you to think that having a child is the be-all, end-all. There's so many children that need homes, so many ways you can adopt and give back to the world, so many ways you can give back besides having a child. And it's important that all of these are discussed and you talk about them, because if you deny them or go, nope, this is what I want, then you're not really doing your part of being a compromising couple. You're not really fulfilling that because you're not hearing your partner out. Don't cut your partner off. Let them say what they're feeling without judgment. You can process it later with a therapist, but let them say what they need to say. And if you hit a wall, as I said in the beginning, then don't be nervous about it. Don't use that as something to be resentful or angry at your partner or close the book on the topic. Rather, seek the help. There's some counselors that just specialize in high risk or pregnancy or family planning, but you can see a general relationship therapist too. And you can talk to them about the dilemma you're having and ask them for help in guiding. They have many good ideas of things that can help enrich your relationship. Use this as a time to build your relationship, to learn about each other and to get closer. Because remember, any baby coming into you guys needs a good, solid, healthy couple more than anything else in the world. You have to raise that soul. It'll be up to you. Take it seriously.